Hello, I'm Zash, and welcome to episode 6 of my Katawa Shoujo Let's Read. Joining me, as always, is my co-reader Faith. Last episode, we met a couple new girls, Emmy, the legless runner, and Rin, the armless painter. Also, we had a bit of an awkward encounter with Kenji in the bathroom, where he was naked, Hisao was naked, and things got a little weird. But we managed, and hopefully there will be no more of those types of encounters in the future. And finally, arriving early at class, we met LIly and had a little conversation with her, until someone came crashing in. So, please enjoy this next episode of Katawa Shoujo.
Hi!
Misha pops into the room with Shizune as if on cue, shouting with loudness that makes LIly visibly flinch.
Hi, Hee-chan!
Hi.
Look, it's the class representative! Hello!
LIly smiles, probably amused by Misha, or Shizune's, use of the word look.
Good morning. Of course, you're not the representative of this class, right? Right? I'm not.
LIly seems a little more guarded in her answers to Shizune than she was with me the other day. I guess they really don't get along at all. Then I realize that LIly might not actually know Shizune is present, and is trying to detect whether or not she is, to know who she is talking to. For all she knows, she's talking to Misha, but knowing that she and Shizune are practically inseparable, she might expect Shizune being the one who actually talks. Damn, how complicated. I decide to help LIly out, for my own peace of mind more than anything else. You're here early, Shizune.
You were here earlier than us.
Misha puffs out her cheeks angrily. Why is she getting angry? Does she feel emotions on Shizune's behalf too? It's not that weird, though, that Shizune didn't like my little comment. It's true I was here earlier than them, so me saying something like that could definitely be misinterpreted as anything. Especially to Shizune, who doesn't have the benefit of hearing tone to gauge the intent. Before I can start weighing whether or not to apologize, Shizune has already moved on.
Class rep! It's a good thing you're here. We have to talk. The festival is coming up in 3 days, right? Every other class has already handed in their projected budget reports for their events. Even the first years. Except you. There's still time to hand it in, isn't there? Today! The deadline is today. You're certainly taking your time, aren't you? If I had my way, I'd have had all the necessary paperwork days ago. But someone had to say the deadline, please extend it. Yes, that was me. Planning something on this scale is not a small task, and a week is too small a time frame to expect a whole class to work out such a complex issue completely. Do you want to know what's harder than distributing the funds for one class's event? Handling the same matter for every class in the school, and then some. The one who does that is me.
Misha puts her hands on her hips and stands up straight. Wow, she really is getting into the role. LIly doesn't look like she's very amused, though. Hey, Shizune, aren't you being a little too hard on her? There's still a whole day left.
Please, Hisao. It's all right.
LIly seems happy I'm taking her side, but a bit conflicted that I might not think she can take care of herself.
If this is about the budget, then I'm disappointed you think I've forgotten about it. I understand how important it is. Then, can I have it, please?
Shizune, she might not have it on her at this exact second.
It's not here right now. I asked 2 students to take care of it for me. Students from my class.
She emphasizes the last sentence much to my surprise. She knows about Shizune's and Misha's efforts to rope me into the student council? I guess word must have gotten around, so now she's using me as ammo against Shizune. This just gets better and better.
It was your responsibility. A budget report isn't something you should just be delegating away. As class rep, it's your job to be on top of things. This kind of disregard for proper procedure is really just terrible. They completed it, being capable of doing so, but the students have been sick recently, so they have not come to school and give it back to me. If you want, I will apologize on their behalf for getting sick. Okay.
Although Misha misses LIly's little jab entirely, Shizune doesn't, and she seems torn between being offended by LIly's daring and jumping for joy at the prospect of a challenge.
LIly, don't they live here at the school? That's a 5-minute walk, you know. What could they possibly have that prevents them from taking 5 minutes out of their busy lives to drop off something that will affect the enjoyment of their entire class?
LIly opens her mouth to say something, but Shizune closes the gap between them and starts signing furiously, waving her hands around like an orchestra conductor. Misha tries her best to convey the same passion, but can't seem to lose her normal cheerful tone. The result is interesting and somewhat surreal.
And what's with that attitude? I said that it's not something you should be delegating away. Are you the class representative or aren't you? Tell me the names of those 2 students. They should have your job if you can't even handle something this simple yourself. One form isn't the full extent of what I'm supposed to take care of.
LIly's tone is growing slightly impatient, but she is doing a good job of not letting Shizune see how unsettled she is becoming. She's playing her cards close to her chest. Shizune, on the other hand, wraps her fingers cheerfully along the edges of her glasses, knowing LIly can neither hear nor see how excited she is.
Of course, you do so much, class rep. It must be so difficult being you.
LIly tightens her lips at Misha's words, clearly understanding the intent behind them, even though Misha delivers them without even a hint of the sarcasm with which they were meant to have. Shizune and LIly don't like each other. That much is clear. But this seems a little much. It seems like LIly has had enough and is ready to push back.
I was actually just discussing the budget report before you came by. You must be very talented to have finished all your student council duties so quickly that you can track me down to make sure I don't forget my own. Are you accusing me of slacking off? It seems like you're confusing me with yourself. I don't think so. That would be a very difficult thing for me to do, comparing myself to you. You're right, the difference between us is like heaven and hell. And it's not hard to guess which one you might represent.
The air between them ripples with the heat of their enmity. Well, not really. They can't disguise it anymore, though. Even Misha looks like she's beginning to understand the real nature of this conversation.
Hee-chan, don't you slack off either.
What are you talking about?
Aren't you taking part in the festival, Hee-chan? You are, aren't you? Then, I hope you're going to do a lot more to make sure it goes smoothly than this person.
I don't understand why Shizune is suddenly getting mad at me. Yeah.
Well, one is angry, which I
Yeah.
would be at this point, personally. But the other is kind of... But on the other hand, it is kind of cutting away from LIly, like, don't mess with me, mess with her, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one is bailing, the other is kind of coming to LIly's defense.
Yeah. I kind of want to come to her defense, like, yo, you're being a bit of a bitch right now. Like, I would mix the two up. I would be like, you are being a right cunt right now, aren't you?
Yeah. So, cut LIly some slack?
Yeah, cut us both some slack. Hey, chill out.
Hey, I'm the new guy, remember? It's not like I could have done much, even if I wanted to.
That's right. You shouldn't expect a transfer student to jump right into it on his first week.
LIly taking my side feels oddly comforting, so I decide to back her up too. Yeah, you're being unreasonable with us both.
Excuses, excuses. Miss Class Rep has had plenty of time to deal with her report. And we repeatedly offered you a position to help with the student council work, but you refused to commit yourself to making the festival a success.
Yeah, but as I said back then, I'm not sure if... I don't have time for this right now. No matter what I do, it will mean being drawn into a confrontation with Shizune, and that is what she wants. Whatever. Forget it. I turned my back at them. LIly, class is going to be starting soon, so we can talk more later. I'll tell Hanako you were looking for her. I can feel Shizune freezing. Maybe this is the first time she has ever been ignored in such a blunt manner.
Thank you, Hisao. I'll leave now, then.
She gives me the sweetest smile I've seen all week, and turns on her heels to make her exit. As soon as LIly walks out the door, I suddenly start feeling reluctant about turning to face Shizune. I can feel her eyes burning into my back, and can't bring myself to look at her. She must be furious. I keep expecting Misha to say something, to alleviate the tension, but it really is wanting too much. In the end, I go back to my seat and listen to the sound of Shizune's footstep as she marches out of the room. She doesn't return until a few minutes before class. Hanako doesn't come to the morning class at all, leaving her seat looking empty and lonely in the back of the classroom. I have to tell her that LIly was looking for her if I see her later. After the events of this morning, class is pretty boring in comparison. I turn the pages of my textbook lazily. I have a bit of catching up to do, despite trying to keep up with my studies at the hospital, but I'm not feeling that enthusiastic about it. The clock at the front of the room sounds unbearably loud. The teacher hasn't said anything in over 7 minutes, instead opting to cover the board in rows and rows of equations taken directly from the book. The rhythmic clashing of chalk on blackboard seems to synchronize perfectly with the ticking of the clock. I start to copy down the equations just to pass the time, even though they are all right there in the textbook. When the bell rings, I'm not in a hurry because I have nothing to do, so I stay for a while, reviewing what we covered in class today. I prefer to leave last anyway, so I don't have to deal with the crowding in the hallways. I notice Shizune and Misha have also stayed behind, talking to someone from another class. Shizune's signing so fast that her hands make noises like swords cutting through the air. Maybe there is pent-up anger in there. Misha is trying desperately to keep up, but it's clear she can barely manage to even understand her. I put my head down. Whatever they're discussing, it looks like serious business. Shizune signs to the point where her wrists crackle, and Misha struggles to spit it out in word form. Sometimes she trips over herself like she's dealing with tongue twisters, and then, on top of that, she has to sign back anything the other girl says. Seems like a rough job. Misha looks tired, like she's about to faint. Luckily for her, their business is soon finished, and the girls sit down on their seats again.
Oh, I'm so tired.
She's hanging her head limply on her desk, looking exhausted. I'll use the opportunity to reconcile with Shizune a bit, worried about getting roped into the student council thing again, though I suspect that door is now closed for me. Festival preparations must be tough for you. Indeed, the people in this school seem to be taking the festival very seriously. Whenever I see people idling around before and after classes, they're always talking about their plans for it. It's kind of neat to see everyone being so enthusiastic about it. I'm probably the only one who doesn't have something to do. Shizune scoffs at me first, as if trying to decide whether to ignore or sneer at me, but in the end, she starts signing without doing either. Misha perks up, looking at her hands with slightly unfocused eyes. She signs with harsh, heavy, dramatic strokes. Misha translates her signing into speech for me. She does it so well, it's almost like Shizune is actually speaking, transmitting her thoughts directly through Misha. She must have practiced it vigorously.
Well, of course, we're in the student council, so we're pretty busy. It's an important duty of ours to ensure the success of the festival with all our strength. We would shame ourselves in front of the past student council generations if the festival were to fail. That's why there must be no flaws, I think that was encumbrances. Nothing that might make the festival short of perfect.
Shizune's passionate speech and Misha's enacting are really oddly fitting of them.
Oh, hello.
I look over my shoulder and see Hanako peeking timidly into the classroom, most of her body hidden behind the door.
Hey, playing delinquent again?
Hanako blushes so hard at Misha's straightforward jab, even if it was only in jest. Shizune stares at her probingly, causing Hanako to look down and start backing away to the point where only her fingers can be seen, wrapped nervously around the edges of the door. Maybe she is showing her dislike of Hanako by association of her dislike of LIly. It appears so, and Hanako probably knows it as well. What is it, Hanako?
Has LIly been here? Sorry, haven't seen Sato. She, came by in the morning though.
Hanako keeps looking uneasily at Shizune, who stares back at her with her usual studying gaze. What is she trying to do? Of course, Shizune isn't going to look away, and she is intimidating enough as it is, so I can only imagine how terrified Hanako would be. It is a little uncomfortable watching Hanako's reaction to Shizune's normal behavior. This is what happens when two people of two different extremes meet, it seems.
Do you know where she is? If she has inner sense in her head, she's in her classroom working on their festival project. But who knows where that woman is loitering at?
You need to find her? She was looking for you in the morning, but I guess you missed each other. She waits a little without answering the simple question, looking awfully like she's not sure if it's proper to answer such a question.
Yeah.
I can come with you, if it's okay. Hanako nods fractionally, still on guard, her shoulders stiff like wood. I get the feeling that she might be more comfortable by herself after all, but it's too late to back off now. She has this really troubled expression she seems to wear almost constantly, one that makes me constantly be on guard myself. I wonder why. I kind of understand why she always seems to be so wary, or maybe more like why there could be a person like her. But I still have no idea how I should act around such a person. It's dinner time soon. Were you planning to eat with LIly? She nods slightly. So she must have been trying to get in the cafeteria. Well, there's something of a dinner crowd, just like the cafeteria is crowded during lunch. It's not as bad because dinner time is longer than lunch hour, but I can understand why Hanako would be discouraged from going in. I pick up my bag and we take our leave. Hanako skips a little to meet my initial pace, so I slow down to match her speed. It doesn't take long for us to be walking at a comfortable pace down the hallway. It almost feels like we're going for a stroll together, something that I can't say I've really done before with a girl. Hanako doesn't seem to be thinking the same thing, though. Even though we are walking at the same pace, she never comes within arm's reach of me. I guess she's still a little uncomfortable around me. Given how shy she is, there doesn't seem to be much helping it, at least for now. By the time we arrive at the cafeteria, there is not much of a crowd there, but LIly is nowhere to be seen. Hanako's head sinks even lower than usual. Have you looked everywhere else already?
Just at the library. I was reading.
So, she does spend the classes she skips at the library. Ah, so not exactly a thorough search then. Well, if I had to guess, she'd be in her own class, like Shizune said, right?
Right.
With the slightest of nods, Hanako agrees with my reasoning. God, she's being so awkward. It's like I need double-layered silk gloves with padding to even begin interacting with her. Some small talk might help her become a bit more used to me. It isn't hard to tell that the silence between us is hovering on the edge of both our minds. So, you and LIly usually hang out after class, right?
Yes.
I'm not sure what I expected from her answer, nor why I even asked the question. That much was rather obvious after all. She doesn't seem like the type to cultivate a social circle, either, so I suspect that LIly may well be her only friend. Must be a pain being in different classes, I'm guessing. She gives a sharp, almost reflexive nod. Compared to LIly's careful thought about her actions and speech, Hanako hastens to make her answers as prompt and short as possible.
LIly comes by the classroom, though, even when she's busy.
She gives a small smile as she says it, evidently appreciating the fact that LIly goes out of her way to help her. It's pretty cute, really. There isn't any need to say any more, both of us content that the discussions reached an end. As we ascend the stairs back to the lobby, we are met by a group of students heading downstairs like a school of fish moving from one feeding area to another. They seem to be keeping mostly to themselves, but before I can notice her doing so, Hanako has moved around behind me. Hey, are you alright?
Just keep going.
The students pass us without as much as a second glance, and Hanako takes up position to my side again as we enter the building, her momentary reprieve from her anxiety all but snatched away. Even as we climb towards the third floor, she doesn't seem to relax. It isn't as if I've never known a shy person before, or even shy girls, but Hanako seems pretty far beyond what I'd call normal for her fear of other people. If it weren't for LIly acting as a mediator, I doubt Hanako would have even been able to walk beside me like this. She seems to be completely shut down in the presence of others. The rest of the walk up to LIly's classroom continues in strained silence, while I rue her inability to socialize at all. After we make our way up the stairs, the noise coming from LIly's classroom is audible from halfway down the hallway. I wasn't expecting such a din at all. Well, I guess we found her. This wasn't hard. Did Hanako come here first, then come to me for backup, I wonder? Well, if that's true, then at least she's starting to trust me a little. That can only be a good thing. Eventually, the two of us reach the door to Class 3-2. With Hanako less than subtly positioning herself behind me, I open the door. Inside is a hive of activity, seemingly every student in the class talking at once as they work hurriedly on their separate tasks. Going by the paint cans, decorations, and banners being made, it must be for the upcoming school festival. I guess my first priority should be finding LIly. Ellipses. There. Finding her amongst the din is surprisingly easy, not the least because of her looks. With a couple of students gathered around her as she stands at the front of the class, she seems to be in charge of the preparations, or at least busy organizing them. Carefully negotiating a path through the various students hunched over the floor for lack of a desk space, I raise a hand entirely out of habit as we finally reach LIly. Hi, LIly. She perks her head up as she breaks off talking to a noticeably smaller girl who must be her classmate, trying to listen as best she can.
Sorry, who?
Ah, sorry. Hisao. I have Hanako, too.
Hi.
She's pretty skittish. Considering the number of people around, it isn't too hard to work out why. LIly takes a moment's pause to assess the situation before turning to the other students once again.
For the moment, just ask Moria for his advice. Kenji's busy with painting one of the banners already.
A quick nod and she bounces off, fingers carefully sliding along the wall's face for orientation. Wait, Kenji? That Kenji? I quickly turn about, leaning to the side to see past Hanako. Sure enough, in a corner of the room, Kenji's hunched over a sheet of cloth as he paints it. His eyes remain only inches from the brush, reminding me of how close he had to be to make out my face when I met him.
Sorry about that. Our class doesn't have many students with even partial eyesight, so they're in high demand.
That's right. Class 3-2 was specially for students with poor vision. Preparing for the festival must be pretty arduous for them. Need a hand? I could give you help if you need some. Maybe Hanako could too. A chance to set her mind on something would do her good, but I doubt she has the courage to ask outright. She quickly nods in affirmation afterwards, so I'm confident I made the right move. LIly gives a noticeable sigh of relief.
That's good. This might actually get finished before everyone goes off to dinner now. Would you be able to help the person painting the main banner? It's a big task for him to do, but nobody else can help.
Kenji? Sure. She seems surprised that I know him. I can't really blame her.
I take it you've met.
Our rooms in the dorm are right next to each other. Hard to miss each other, really.
Well, it's good to see you're getting friends so fast.
Friend. I wonder if that's the right word to use for him. Hanako's silence during the proceedings reminds me of the reason I put her up to helping in the first place. We'll go help him then. He knows what needs doing, right?
That's right. Just ask if you have any problems.
Chorusing an assent, Hanako and I begin another trek across the classroom. Kenji sits crouched on the floor, his gaze fixed on the white calico in front of him. "Hey, Kenji." No answer. He continues dragging his paint-soaked brush along the large half-painted kanji that's sketched on the sheet in pencil. "Kenji?"
Huh? What? Who is it?
This is the way he treats class members. It's no small wonder he's working on this alone. "It's me, Hisao, from..."
Right. I know that, man. What are you doing here, though?
His dismissive attitude annoys me. He must be the type that really gets focused on his work, hating to be disturbed by anyone until he's done, I suppose. While we talk, the sound of Hanako's footsteps as she walks out from behind me reminds me that she's there. "I was just going to help you with the banner. Hanako and I, that is."
Hello?
Oh, hey. I guess that's okay.
As soon as Hanako enters the equation, his demeanor takes a complete about-face. His sudden faux hospitality is slightly unsettling. Oh, right. Woman. On second thoughts, this might not have been a great idea after all. Hanako and I grudgingly set ourselves down on the opposite side of the cloth banner to Kenji, noting the several small paint tins on the ground around it. Class 3-2. Noodle stall? You guys are selling noodles at the festival on Sunday? Yeah, some stalls outside, or something. Or something? His non-committal nature sparks a fair amount of suspicion on my behalf. The task at hand comes first, though. So, how do you want to split this? We do borders while you do the text? Or do you want to switch and do the borders?
Text is mine. You do borders.
He has surprisingly strong feelings on the topic. As I reach over to grab a brush, I notice Hanako's already debating between colors to use. By the time I've put brush to cloth, she's already started on delicate patterns. Looks like my idea of taking her mind off everyone around her worked. With a dark blue stroke, the three of us silently get to work. Not before Kenji takes advantage of Hanako's working to lean towards me and whisper conspiratorially, though.
Okay, man. Why are you here?
Hanako just wanted some help to find LIly, that's all. He apparently disapproves of my motivations.
I get it. It looks like I misjudged you. You're infiltrating them, aren't you? Going deep undercover.
I should have guessed. Letting the truth slip by him would probably be better than outright lying or annoying him in any case. Is that why you're here?
Obviously, it sucks, but there's no better way to get intel than going in yourself. We've got to stick together, man. This is a harsh school, a harsh world.
Yes, very harsh. He misses my true meaning as he leans back, satisfied I'm sympathetic to his status. I'd better get down to work.
Finished.
Looks like I am too. Good job. The two of us connect up the lines of our patterns, mine being as close to the copy as I could manage of hers. With a grunt, I lever myself up from the floor and look around. Aside from Hanako and myself, there's only Kenji left finishing off a sign, as well as LIly, and a couple of students talking amongst themselves in the classroom. Looking at my watch, it's no surprise. It's getting pretty late. Need a hand? I offer my hand to Hanako, which she uses to get herself up. As she does, I can't help but glance at her wrist. If her scars extend to even there, just how much of her body was burned? I feel a pang of guilt about it, however, as she quickly covers her wrist with her other hand. Looks good, doesn't it? She looked surprised for a moment before noticing that I meant the banner.
It does, I guess.
Her smile shows that she feels a slight sense of pride in the result, just as I do. With the floor significantly neater for the decorations being placed on desks and shelves, it's much easier to get to Lily across the room. We finished up the banner. I guess that's all that needs to be done? Lily gives an appreciative nod.
Thank you, Hisao, Monaco. If there's any way I can thank you.
It's fine. Beats sitting in my room studying, at any rate.
I don't mind either.
She nods, before suddenly remembering one last person.
Oh, is Kenji still there?
Just as I open my mouth, Kenji gives the answer from the other side of the room.
Yeah, just finished.
He carefully slides his sign onto an empty section of shelf to dry, before quickly walking past us and out the door.
See ya, man.
Bye. The remaining two students say their goodbyes to Lily before taking their cue to leave as well, leaving only the three of us. Well, I guess that's everyone.
I hope we don't have to do anything like that again.
Working past school time?
Indeed. The class's plans this year were ambitious. Maybe too ambitious. The stalls look nice, so...
She's right. It shows that a lot of work's gone into them.
My. I'm sure a lot of us would be glad to hear that. At least now there's not much work to do until the festival itself. It's getting pretty late. Should we go? That's probably a good idea. Are you going back to the dorms as well, Hisao?
Yeah, I guess I'll tag along. The nighttime lighting really makes the gardens look quite different. Compared to the usual look of the lush greenery, things are much more calm. Being that it's so late, the lack of students around probably helps. The odd one or two can be seen scurrying to and from the dorms, trying to eke the most out of their approaching curfews, but no more. All that can be heard is our footsteps, in addition to Lily's cane, regularly gently tapping the ground in front of her. It's nice to finally be able to relax a bit after the mad rush during school. Without even noticing it, I let out a small yawn.
Tired?
Yeah, still getting used to the flow of things, I guess. The, thing with Shizune took me kind of off guard, though. I grit my teeth a little at the candid mention of their rather public spat. That said, I do want to sort out what in the world was behind it.
About that. I'm so sorry about it being so public. Shizune and I go back some ways.
Her voice seems slightly irritated as she remembers Shizune, obviously unwilling to discuss it any further. I glance to Hanako for her views on this, but her expression is, unsurprisingly, evasive and difficult to read. Either way, I guess her apologizing for it is something, even if my curiosity goes unanswered.
I'll be glad once the festival's over in any case.
The change of topic's welcome, clearing the thickening air quickly. I can imagine. My old school's festivals were a lot more low-key than this.
Yamaku stresses the idea of a school community, so the staff likes to make our festivals and such special occasions.
And yet the students are the ones who do the work? What an unfair world. Hanako and Lily both chuckle in agreement, savoring the fact that none of the staff are around to hear our grumbling.
I suppose coming from a strict all-girls school helped me a bit with Yamaku. Compared to there, Yamaku is much more relaxed.
That'd go away explaining her well-bred speech and behavior, in any case. As we come up on the dormitories, it eventually comes time to leave for our respective rooms. See ya, Lily, Hanako. The two both give polite nods before setting off to the women's dorms, just next to the guys. As is to be expected of such an arrangement, there's a staff member casually patrolling around outside to prevent any nighttime shenanigans. Walking past him, I quickly stretch my arms out and rub my neck, both quite sore after having worked on the floor for so long, before walking to my room. It feels good to actually have direction, though. After so long in the hospital, the everyday facts of studying, homework, and teachers seems almost a blessing. I guess if things continue like this, my time at Yamaku might actually turn out okay. Adhering to the nurse's nagging voice in the back of my head, I set my alarm clock to wake me up early enough to go jogging again. I made a promise, and I'm going to keep it. Besides, Emmy is bound to rat on me if I don't show up. But it's not all that bad.